I need it. I'm telling y'all, lock it in.
I need a sports podcast. I need it now.
Yo, what is good, everybody? Welcome back to the I Need It Sports Podcast. Your host with the most, Bryce, my dog Chris, my dog Cam, aka Showtime's XG. SGA is goaded. It's Shroud for 7. Go follow us on the fan pages. Today, as of August 6th, 2025, we're recording with our guy Eric for the NFC North preview. Going to take a look into his Lions, Bears, Packers, Vikings. See what we think headed into this 2025-26 NFL season. With that being said, let's keep this intro short. Welcome on to the pod, our guy Eric of eTalk 21 Sports. Yes, welcome back to the pod, Eric. I don't think you haven't been on since it's been months because we
Been a minute.
yeah, been a minute. Glad to have you back on the pod. Glad football season is starting back up. Obviously, it is just preseason, so you take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. But what'd you think last week watching your team in that Hall of Fame game and Trey Lance dice up the second and third string Lions players?
It really didn't surprise me. I mean, there's been so much turnover with the coaching staff, the secondary coaches, offensive line. We really have questions of who's going to be starting in the interior. And behind the quarterback position, the Lions are really thin. More in the first-time play caller, having the quarterback call more from the line as opposed to what Johnson did. I was really low on that game, and they did what I kind of expected they were going to do. I didn't expect that much.
Yeah, and I expected Trey Lance to play good, and I expected him to play a lot of the game, but I didn't expect him to look like that. And now it's like, man, obviously you don't want anything to happen to him, but I think it would be kind of funny, like if something happened to Justin Herbert and the Chargers just ended up winning games with Trey Lance. Will we get a possible like Harbaugh Kaepernick situation where it's like, obviously Herbert is your guy, he's the franchise QB, but if you're winning games and Trey Lance is doing what he needs to do, like, you think they could possibly explore getting rid of him? Or
no, I think Herbert's just. I don't think they're going to look rid of Herbert. I mean, like the bigger thing would be like if Carolina starts off 0-4, 0-5, and they're like, okay, obviously Bryce Young's not the guy. We're not going to give the extension. Do we bring Lance in to kind of see what Lance will look like in that type of offense to see if he can be an every week starter with the Panthers? I mean, I think that would be a more realistic option as opposed to the Chargers moving on from Herbert.
Okay. Well, without further ado, let's hop into this NFC North preview, man. So, got the slides queued up, ready to go. And we're going to start with the first team that was last place in last year's rankings. That would be the Chicago Bears. Now, obviously, every single year, there's the aspect of some team in some division is going to go worst to first. The Bears, obviously, got new head coach Ben Johnson, brought over a lot of his coaching, counterparts or colleagues from the Detroit staff. I know Antoine Randall, Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver, brought him over. They did make a couple of splash moves in free agency, traded for Joe Thuney from my Chiefs, guard Jonah Jackson. Had a pretty decent draft, drafted maybe what could potentially be the best tight end out of this year's draft, wide receiver Luther Burden. But then on the flip side, I don't know if y'all been seeing some of the clips come out of Bears training camp. Seems like Caleb Williams is struggling trying to pick up that Ben Johnson offense, and it hasn't looked good. I think the other day they did a live scrimmage when Johnson basically said in the press conference afterwards, like that was completely disappointing. Team wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. Offense wasn't clicking. So how are y'all feeling about the Bears? Y'all think this is a team that could make that jump from worst to first in the NFC North, or they won't be that team this year?
I mean, I live in the Chicagoland area, and the buzz around here is absolutely insane. This is the best offensive mind Chicago has had in decades. But the big question everyone needs to ask themselves is, does the personnel make the scheme work? Ben Johnson, creative, unpredictable, aggressive. He likes to do what the defense doesn't expect. On passing downs, he runs. Running downs, he passes. Had a split backfield approach, kept defensives guessing. He made Jared Goff look like a franchise-type quarterback. And all that was short stuff in the middle of the field. That's really not what Caleb Williams wants to do. Is Caleb Williams going to buy into the system and actually do what is said? He's already changing his throwing motion. I think that has to do a lot with all the awful footage that's coming out from camp. Offensive line, complete night and day. They completely upgraded it. Along with Tune, they got Drew Dillman, who's probably one of the best centers. They got Jonah Jackson from the Rams, who was with Johnson, struggled in Los Angeles last year. He's going to be under center more. He's going to be working in a rhythm passing game, timing routes. That's not what he wants. That is my main concern with him. Also, everything's in the middle of the field. Who's going to be the St. Brown? Is it going to be DJ Moore? Is it going to be Luther Burden? Is it going to be Odunze? Who's going to be the guy that works the slot? That is my big question mark here. Swift. I absolutely love DeAndre Swift in this offense. He had 5.5 yards per carry, didn't really get the volume, but he's going to get the volume here because there's no one else to fight him for touches. He is at plus 200 to have 1,000 yards rushing season. That's the only bet that I made with the Bears because they didn't trade up for Gentry. They waited till late to draft Kyle Magani from Rutgers. Rashawn Johnson there, but he's really not a guy that fits the mix. Motion, formation zone, split zone runs. They're going to leave heavy on pre-motion snap. I absolutely love DeAndre Swift. Defensively, they brought in Dennis Allen, big time hire, brought in Grady Jarrett, Andrew Billings, got Shamir Turner and Groven Dexter, young guys that can create pressure. This is going to be the best secondary Allen has had and the best pass rush Allen has had in some time. I think this defense is going to fire. But at the end of the day, none of that all matters if Caleb Williams doesn't make the jump. I have another team I'm a little higher on here. I don't think the Bears make the playoffs. I'm not investing in the win total. I've just bet DeAndre Swift 200 to have over 1,000 yards rushing.
Okay. Cam, I know you were kind of high on him last year, saying like, he gonna change the franchise around. I think it was, what was it? The stat that no QB drafted by the Bears has thrown for over like 4,000 yards, and we're like, okay, we're gonna break that. And then obviously last year went how it went. You back on that bandwagon this year now that he's got Ben Johnson as his head coach / OC, loaded offense. They stacked up on the offensive line, like Eric mentioned, and what I highlighted in the notes. Obviously, last year he was the most sacked quarterback in the league. This year, looking to stay a little bit more upright. You think, is this year, because he said it's a goal a couple weeks ago, you think Caleb Williams eclipsing 4,000 yards and making the Bears, I won't say contender, but a playoff team, if nothing else?
Well, I mean, he kind of have to. All the hype, that he got coming into, coming out of college or whatever. Like I was high on him because everybody else was high on him. I say, he had to make the playoffs. He obviously did it. I mean, this season he got to take the next step, man. There's literally no more excuses. You got the head coach that everybody pretty much wanted around the league. Probably one of the best offensive-minded coaches out there right now. I mean, Ben Johnson or whatever. We got insane weapons right now. I mean, I see no reason for him not to, unless injuries happen. I see no reason for him not to go over 4,000 yards. Have a really good year. I mean, on paper, they should make the playoffs. I mean, like Eric saying, defensive side is amazing. I got all those guys, and the offensive side, obviously, they got a bunch of new guys, and still got Rome Meduze and DJ Moore and stuff like that. So yeah, this beefed up the O line. There's no more excuses.
Okay, so their win total is set at 8.5, and there's plus money for the over. So you're saying, like, what does a successful season look like for you when you're saying like no excuses? Is that like 10-7, or like win the division at like 12-5, like flip what their record was last year, go 12-5, 11? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what says successful season for you that I guess makes you feel like maybe last year's expectations weren't wrong just early on Caleb Williams?
I would say 10 wins, but those 7 losses, it had to be like pretty much like competitive games. Like they're in pretty much every game, but something went wrong, or minor mistakes, or they just lost at the end, like on a field goal or like a game winning drive or something like that. So yeah, I would say at least like 10 wins and a playoff burst.
Okay. What about you, Chris? What you thinking? Because this is kind of, I feel like, not the same, but I know last week we recorded the AFC East, and you were saying like, shouldn't we have some good expectation for Justin Fields? Think maybe he could turn it around. And I was speaking on like that franchise kind of like trauma. Chicago is one of those franchises. While it's a storied franchise in NFL history, as far as quarterbacks go, there isn't anybody really that's thrived that's been drafted into that organization. So there's a lot of pressure on Caleb Williams to turn things around. Obviously, like Cam said, though, they do have the pieces around them. Got the coaching staff you need to, turn it around. This year, Caleb Williams finally does that for that franchise and looks like a promising QB.
I don't think he turns things around, but I think he can have a better season than he did last year. I think, considering wasn't he like top 5 and like being rushed or something, like almost getting sacked pretty much. Maybe he was like top 2, if not number 1, right?
Yeah. Across the board, they were the worst metrics ever for not ever, but in the league,
In the league, protection
for
and
QB pressure, sacks, all of that.
So I'm hoping with this beefed up O-line and Ben Johnson's creativity, Caleb can probably get the ball out of his hands a little quicker. Or maybe not rely on him getting the ball off his hands, right? Maybe utilizing DeAndre Swift like Eric kind of hinted towards. I don't think he turns things around. I don't think they make the playoffs. I don't think they win over 8.5 games, but I think he probably has a better season. I think last year when we talked about this, we asked ourselves what would be a successful season for him. And I think we said around 10 games winning. He obviously fell short of that. I think we did also talk about the yards being thrown. And we also talked about touchdowns too. We probably have to go back and look at that episode. But this is a division where everybody else in this division is supposed to make the playoffs as well. Everybody can't make the playoffs. I don't think the Bears are going to be the team that makes the playoffs in this division.
I mean, when I looked at Caleb Williams' stats for last year, he had 3,500 passing and 20 TDs. I thought it was a mistake. I didn't know it was that good. Like he was, but I mean, seriously, he was sneakily that good. But it's never a good sign for me as someone that had that good a season and the coach is already changing the way you throw the ball. You know what I mean? That to me, that's a red flag. So
yeah. You don't win if there's no consistency.
Yeah, and also
development.
Funny enough, way I kind of viewed it last year, because I think it was like he set like some record, I think, for rookies for like most games consecutively not throwing an interception. And while that's like on the surface, that sounds like really good. A lot of times, if you watch the games though, and one of his problems, and this was on the scouting report coming into the draft last year, he just holds on to the ball. And it was like sometimes they brought you in to be a game changer. So like the Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, like sometimes you got to take a chance or take a shot, like try to throw the ball. He'd hold on to the ball. And that's what, I'm not saying his line wasn't bad, but a lot of times too, it was simply him holding on to the ball and getting sacked as well. Cause it's not like college or USC, Oklahoma, where you could just run around back there in the pocket, shake and bake. Like these are professional athletes doing that at the highest level. They're gonna sack you more times than not if you're lollygagging back there. So he didn't show up, but I would say going into this, like before training camp started, I was thinking like, oh, on paper this looks good. I feel like maybe he can turn around. I'm not saying he's about to just throw for 4,000 yards and be the first one to do that, but I was saying, maybe 3,800 and above. 30 passing touchdowns, I feel like would be a good benchmark. But then I've been seeing the clips of him. I'm like, this is probably a way more complicated offense for him. And I don't think he was necessarily the best at running an offense to even start with. I feel like in college he was able to ad lib and get away with it a lot. But in the NFL, that obviously does not get the job done. And so now I'm like, this team maybe sniffs 7 wins, I feel like. Because this is a loaded division still. Obviously, Lions, Vikings, Packers. I think the Packers will be much better this year, and we'll talk about them next. But it's just hard to see like what I thought prior to training camp and what I'm seeing now. It's hard for me to see this team making that leap and going worst to first. I just don't think that's that team this year. And if you want to take a look at the schedule like we were doing week 1, they're open on the season with the divisional game, Vikings. Now, that might work in their favor because also I don't know how J.J. McCarthy is necessarily looking. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But then week 2, Ben Johnson's home return at Detroit. Week 3, Cowboys. Week 4 at the Raiders. So those first 3 weeks, that's kind of a tough schedule. Raiders, that's up in the air how they do with Geno. And then they got an early bye week 5, and you come out of that, you're on the road at Washington. Then you got the Saints, and then 2 weeks in a row you got at Ravens, at Cincinnati. So like they got a tough opening stretch to the season where you could look up, they could easily be 2-6 by the week 9 after week 9. And then at that point, you would probably be mathematically eliminated, but it would be very slim odds that you make the playoffs. So, and you kind of.
Another thing that people kind of need to remember is there's been a laundry list of these coaches that have been quote unquote offensive, defensive minded geniuses. And when they've had to control the room, they've struggled, except for guys that have been under McVay. Like, who's to say that Johnson is just a smart offensive guy and he can't control the room? And you know what I mean? Like, that's a worry. And Bryce, you're way too nice. This offensive line sucked last year, dude. This offensive line was absolutely brutal last year. Yeah, I don't know, man. I have worries about them, and honestly, it wouldn't shock me for them to struggle. And if that happens, I don't know, man. Could we see? What would the record need to be for them to move on from Johnson? Or do you think they're just married to him for a couple years? If this just completely blows up, he cannot control the room. They can't beat the Packers. They can't beat the Lions. They split with the Vikings. If they win 3-4 games, do they already make a move off of Johnson? It's crazy.
I feel like they gotta give him at least 2 years. The thing becomes, it's just the context of how they would end up that way. Would Caleb show any improvement, or Caleb just be completely terrible? Because at that point, I feel like you give him that second year, and if Caleb really is just not showing improvement, it's okay, he's not gonna be the franchise guy. I think they honestly might choose to move off Caleb before they move off Ben Johnson. Because if you got weapons in a serviceable QB, you've seen what Ben Johnson could do in Detroit. I feel like because you wouldn't have paid money to Caleb, you have obviously took him number 1 a couple seasons ago, but you can move off of him. It would be different if it was like a Tua in Miami situation where now they're saying Mike McDaniel is on the hot seat. And I'm not saying he's the best coach, but I feel like he's only in that position is because they chose to pay Tua $50 million last year. And now it's we can't move off Tua. So if this doesn't work, McDaniels, you got to go. So I feel like they would keep Ben Johnson over Caleb if it's looking like Caleb is a problem there. So, but, yeah.
The thing is you mentioned these quarterbacks in their rookie deals. Tua, the only reason they gave him the extension is they made the playoffs. You know what I mean? So if they don't make the playoffs the next couple years, I think that's kind of when they look to move off of Caleb Williams.
Yeah. So I think Agreements all across the board. Chicago will not be the worst to first team this year, and kind of look at the struggle despite their really good offseason moves. But Caleb Williams still a big question mark. Maybe he can prove us all wrong, but that is yet to be seen. So we'll just hold on that one. Next up, finishing in third last year in the NFC North was the Green Bay Packers. Now they did make the playoffs as the 7th seed, but this was kind of a prior to coming into the year, their expectations. Obviously, there was lots of talks like Jordan Love was about to take that leap. He had just gotten paid. He was, Rodgers S going to be like top 5 QB. And then he got banged up throughout the year, so that could have added to, partially his down play. But they finished third in the NFC North, squeaked into the playoffs 11-6, and then got demolished by the Eagles in the wild card round. Jordan Love did not look good in that playoff game either. Headed into this year, you're getting a healthy Jordan Love. Obviously, the big talk around their camp is they drafted wide receiver Matthew Golden. Is that going to be their wide receiver one? They kind of just had this plethora of wide receivers throughout the years: Watson, Dobbs, Wicks, but there's no true alpha. And sometimes that you kind of see that in the headlines and some of the play, Reed too. I forgot to mention him, but Reed, he wants the ball. Dobbs wants the ball. They all think they're wide receiver ones. Watson flashes here and there, but he can't stay healthy. Jordan Love is did the Packers just do it again? Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. See next up. I think Matt LaFleur is a great coach, but I feel like this year is a really prove it or lose it year for the Packers, and I think if they don't end up first in the NFC North in an NFC championship game, I think there's going to be a lot of questions involving their organization because Jordan Love, you paid him too. And like we said, he got paid off of a 9-game stretch a couple years ago where he looked really good. As of right now, that's the outlier stretch. Every other time he's played, he hasn't looked good. He's a turnover machine. Eric's favorite, he's always throwing off of his back foot, which you can't trust.
Yeah.
So this year they got their over-under set at 9.5 wins, and it's basically just a straight up negative 110 on both sides, over-under, and they're a little bit slightly favored to make the playoffs. Like I said, they drafted Matthew Golden, drafted offensive tackle Anthony Belton, got an edge piece in Baron Sorrell in the first couple rounds. They're able to re-sign the linebacker McDuffie. I haven't heard much coming out of their camp about McCole Hardman, but they also signed him in the offseason, and they got a kicker, Brandon McManus. So looking to turn around as far as losses go. I don't know how much of a loss their organization would call it, but they did just trade Jair Alexander a couple weeks ago to Baltimore or lose him. But obviously he wasn't playing the last couple years, and that relationship had kind of soured. Lost another cornerback, Eric Stokes, their center, Josh Myers, and defensive lineman, TJ Slayton. What's y'all's feelings on the Green Bay Packers? Does Jordan Love turn it around? Because, I mean, like I said, another quarterback, high expectations, probably a little too high. People probably drinking a little bit too much of the Kool-Aid on Jordan Love. I know Eric can proudly say he was not one of those people. But how y'all feeling about Green Bay headed into this year?
You're supposed to choose somebody. No, you're supposed to choose somebody, bro. You're the MC.
Edit. How y'all feel about Green Bay this year? No, but go ahead. Take it first, Chris.
So my Dallas Cowboys lost to Green Bay. When I think they were the 7th seed as well at that point. We were the 2nd seed.
Yep.
And a big piece of their offense at that time was their run game. And they let go of that running back that wanted to come to Dallas, but now he hates Dallas.
Aaron Jones.
Don't say his name. But I think since then they probably struggled a bit. It doesn't help that Jordan Love can't stay healthy. I think your point with it being an NFC Championship game or bust is a really good point. I think realistically, you really don't expect this team to make a Super Bowl this year. Even if they have a really competitive second round, maybe you don't blow it all up. I don't think Jordan Love is a bad quarterback, but I definitely do think they should probably try and reinforce that running back room.
Josh
I don't
Jacobs
know.
was the added last year, and he's a pretty good back. But like you said, it's just really, I really feel like it's just is Jordan Love gonna take care of the ball? Because like I said, I've always been big on LaFleur, and I think he doesn't get a lot of credit for Aaron Rodgers having those 2 back-to-back MVP seasons to where Aaron Rodgers is now at this point in his career. But you got to remember too, 2 years ago, this Packers team had San Francisco on the ropes until they blew
Yeah.
it. And they were
Yeah.
about to make the NFC Championship game
Yeah.
to play Detroit, and they blew it. Jordan Love threw a late game interception when they could have went and won the game.
But I feel like that's like a byproduct of multiple games where Jordan Love was actually able to play. I think he was hurt for like the first half of that season or something close to that. Whereas in last season he was hurt right there in the beginning of the season, right? And so like his appearance on the field has to be more consistent. I think that's going to play a big role in that team's success. And I think it plays a big role in the way he performs as well. If you want to take care of the ball, we need to have consistent reps over a certain amount of time. I think that may help them a lot. But I mean, it starts with him being healthy. I think Matthew Goodell is going to be a great receiver. I think it's probably it benefits Green Bay if he does come out as a wide receiver 1 or even wide receiver 2, because I think it'll allow them to kind of define their wide receiver room, right? So all that questioning and who needs to get the ball the most, who doesn't. When you put guys in their place and give them an actual job they need to do, they won't expect the ball so many times, and it probably helped Jordan Love choose his receivers more, because I'm sure there's a lot of personal conversations that go on in the locker room, like, hey, I'm wide open. It's like, I don't really want to give it to you. I don't have to give it to you. That may help their offense a little bit too.
What about you, Eric? How you feeling about Jordan Love?
2 different versions. Are we going to see the 2023 one where he looked like a future star, or 2024 something was off? Maybe it was the injury, maybe it was with the mechanics, but the regression was real. You mentioned it. He started throwing off his back foot, 23rd in completion percentage, and this was supposed to be one of his strengths when he came out of Utah State. And I kind of feel with the Packers, how you feel about them kind of means how you feel about Jordan Love. Is he top 10, middle of the pack, or just a glorified game manager? Now, LaFleur looks to limit the deep shots, lean on the run game more. And one thing LaFleur started doing, and this is when Love made his jump, he basically gives him 3 plays at the line. And he's like A, B, or C, and he allows Love to look over the defense and then call the plays. So he kind of gives Love the keys to the castle, but kind of like is steering the ship, so to speak. Now, also with this thing, they were 20, he led the NFL in percentage of throws 20 yards or plus down the field, 3rd in average depth of target in 2024. Kind of a week thing for him in terms of fantasy football. You mentioned Matthew Golden. First of all, I cannot get behind any wide receiver that is wearing number 22. I saw that clip and he was wearing number 22. It pissed me the F off. I had no idea who this guy was. I'm here Googling, and it was Matthew Golden. End of the day, he's a burner. He's basically going to be what Christian Watson was supposed to be. And the thing you mentioned, Jaden Reed, he only plays a slot. So when they go to 2 tight end sets, Reed had to come off the field. Now, Golden's not going to have to do that. Golden is going to stay off the field. But at the end of the day, Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, and they got Davion Wicks. That's a loaded wide receiver room with no clear chain mover or alpha wide receiver. That's kind of a worry point with me. You mentioned Josh Jacobs. Now, the thing that they're historically been an inside zone team. Jacobs struggled to start the year. Their rookie, whose name I'm spacing on, got hurt, and they switched to power gap, and it worked perfectly. Jacobs had a huge season. Then this off season, they said they're going to switch back to a zone concept, and they brought in Aaron Banks. They moved Jenkins to center against his will. That forced him to be an extension for a little bit too much money. So it's really unclear. Are they going to be zone? Are they going to be power gap? Do the pieces on the offensive line fit the blocking scheme that they want to run? Jacobs had 358 touches last season. That's a ton. History has shown us that after that much of a workload, people tend to decrease. Marshawn Lloyd, the rookie from USC, whose name I was spacing on, he's going to be there to take some of the load off. So I actually bet him to have under his rushing total just because of the regression likely coming off 358 catches and getting the rookie back. I think he's going to be absolutely huge. I think they're going to use Marshawn Lloyd a little bit more in the rushing game. Jeff Hafley, who they brought in, worked magic last year defensively, allowed 500 fewer yards rushing, half a yard less per carry, and they had the most players, 16 with a sack. The gap responsibility they went with up front worked out great for Clark and Watt. They had 45 sacks last year, but their pressure rate dropped to 22, so they were able to generate pressure without blitzing. They only blitzed 17% of the time, second fewest in the league. Obviously, Van Ness has been a letdown so far. They brought in Oliver and Sonell. They need those guys to make the jump. Obviously, losing Alexander Hurts, as you mentioned, they really don't have that lockdown guy to shadow Jefferson or St. Brown. But at the end of the day, when I look at this team, this is the team in the North I have the least amount of questions with. I think their coaching is good. They were able to win games with Malik Willis at the quarterback. Their defense is going to be improved, and they have the easiest schedule in the NFC North. As much as it effing pains me to say this, I bet them to win the division at plus 270. So I did them to win the division at plus 270 and then the under Josh Jacobs rushing yards.
Okay. I'm at that one. And like I said, I mean, this Packers team, not saying they had to be because it was Jordan Love's first couple years, but this Packers team has kind of been knocking on the door, even dating back to Aaron Rodgers' last couple seasons before he fell off. So I feel like they, like you said, they got to.
Aaron Rodgers, excuse me. There's that game, that snow game where it's cold as shit. They were the top seed, and there's just mistake after mistake after mistake, and they lost to the 49ers.
Yep,
I mean,
10-7
won that game.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe this will be the year. Maybe Matt LaFleur is able to get the team over the hump. I definitely think he's a coach that can do that. But like Eric said, it really just is. This team is going to go how Jordan Love goes. Okay, last year it wasn't his best year. Okay, we'll say for now, like, oh, maybe the injuries hampered him because literally, like Chris, you said, from the very start, week 1 versus the Eagles, I think that's where he hurt his like back or knee or something. And then I think he felt a little rush back since he did get paid this offseason, wanted to prove that he was worth the money. Then he kind of re-aggravated the injury. And then it wasn't a good season. He was just throwing off his back foot a lot, throwing it into double, triple coverage, bunch of mind-scratching decisions, and didn't end up good. Like I said, they were able to still squeeze into the playoffs, but then they got whopped in the first round. So after potentially being in the NFC Championship game to then getting beat in the first round of the playoffs, definitely don't want to take another step back this year. Definitely want to get back to at least the division round and probably the NFC Championship, all things considered. But Cam, how you feeling about Jordan Love? Because this was one of your guys too. Me and you were both team Jordan Love headed into last year, and he disappointed us both and let us down. So are you back on the hype train for J-Lo, or you kind of temper? Yeah, J-Lo, that's what they call it. That's what Chris Broussard calls him on First Things.
I mean, I'm that's still my guy. I'm still backing him. Last year, like obviously you guys were saying, he was injured, start off the year injured or whatever. The turnovers, I don't really. It's a concern, but it's not really a concern in my opinion because he's a gunslinger. That's going to happen. Like he's, unless you just prime Aaron Rodgers, who who also was a gunslinger, but he just didn't really throw interceptions like that. That being said, like Joe, he's a gunslinger, so the interceptions are going to happen. I know I saw like first 8 games, interceptions was like high, whatever. Then the last 7, he turned it down a little bit or whatever. and then obviously the playoffs. He threw 3. But yeah, I'm not really worried about the turnovers. Like I said, he's a gunslinger. Now, what I'm worried about, they do need to find like a true receiver one. Is it gonna be? I think it's either gonna be Matthew Golden or Reed. I feel like he has a better connection with Reed right now, obviously because Matthew Golden's a rookie. But I can definitely see Matthew Golden at some point, taking over as receiver one. I'm obviously unbiased, by the way.
Yeah.
Totally,
Where did
totally
Matthew Golden
unbiased.
go to school again? I don't remember.
No, he just happened to go to Austin. Graduated from Austin. So yeah, I'm totally unbiased or whatever. I think defense should be okay. I think they got that bad apple out in Jair. So I mean it's gonna come if they want to win the division. It's gonna come down to beating the Lions. They lost to them twice last year. That obviously cannot happen. At least beat them once, at least once, if you want to have a chance at winning this division, because I think they can beat the other 2 teams or whatever. So I mean I'm kind of high on the Green Bay. I think they'll go over that 9.5 wins. I can see them winning the division. If they don't win the division, I can see them going second. But I think they're for sure a lot playoff team.
Okay. Not mad at that one. For me, I think they are slated for a top 2 finish in the NFC North this year, and I think it really does come down to is either them or the Lions. Are they gonna be able to beat them for one, and also 2 finish with the right record that requires getting first place? But I do see this team being pretty good, pretty competitive, and like Eric said, they don't particularly have a strong schedule, so they should, unless they just run into some type of injury bug. They're a well-coached team, talent everywhere, even though there's not the superstar names, but they do have talent. They should be able to, I feel like, get to at least 12 wins, maybe even 13, and potentially be a top 3 seed in the NFC this year. But in front of them last year was a team that took everybody by surprise. I think anybody had on their bingo card that Sam Darnold was going to lead the Minnesota Vikings to a 14-3 record. But then, of course, they made the playoffs, and Sam Darnold looked like the Sam Darnold we knew of time past. I think a lot of that credit goes to O'Connell, the coach, because I think he is a great offensive mind. But this year, obviously, they chose to move off of Darnold, and for a reason, because they took J.J. McCarthy last year in the top 5 picks, and then unfortunately he tore his meniscus. I don't think he would have played last year. I think the plan was to kind of sit him and to see how the season goes, maybe potentially like bring him in on the back half of the season. But if the season would have went how it went with Darnold, he wasn't going to get in because Darnold was balling. I mean, shoot, I think it was like the second episode, the second week of the season. Was that when they played the Texans, Cam, and Darnold like went off and they killed y'all? Yes. And Chris came on here talking about
it's not crazy. It wasn't crazy to say.
It was crazy as hell.
Just give it time.
Yeah. Chris vouched for the Vikings being atop LJ's ladder.
Bro, they were one of the best teams in the league. Y'all just didn't know it yet.
But this year, J.J. McCarthy takes the reins. They did have some pretty good key additions. Beefed up their defensive line with Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave. Added some offensive line talent as well for their new quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, Will Freeze, and Ryan Kelly. They were able to re-sign their star cornerback, Byron Murphy. He had that weird thing where like he had signed a new not signed, but agreed to deal with the Colts. And the Vikings came back into the picture, offered him a little bit more money, so he stayed home. Re-signed guy who shall not be named at running back that Chris doesn't like, and drafted another offensive guard in Donovan Jackson. Now, they did lose Stephon Gilmore, Cam Robinson, who's with your Texans now, Cam. And then randomly, was this last week, I believe, Anthony Barr just up and retired during training camp. So that might be a tough loss there. And then they are opening the season without Jordan Addison, who's suspended 3 games for violating the NFL's substance policy. And so that's kind of tough. JJ McCarthy going into his first 3 NFL games, you don't get your wide receiver 2. Obviously, I mean, it's not all bad because you have Justin Jefferson, arguably a top 2 receiver in the league as of right now. But there hasn't been much coming out of camp about JJ McCarthy either. I'm not saying he's not going to be good. I think O'Connell will help a lot with his coaching, but it does worry me a bit that we haven't heard much of JJ McCarthy, and you're kind of throwing them into a situation where they're coming off of 14-3 years. Like, okay, well, JJ, we drafted you to be the guy, and obviously we had the success with Sam Darnold, so it kind of puts a little bit of pressure on him because, like, if Sam Darnold could do that, we should still be making the playoffs. We should still be a pretty competitive team. So JJ McCarthy got a lot on his plate headed into this year. They're plus 350, third highest odds to win the division. So they are projecting a little bit of a dip for the Vikings there, over under set at 8.5 wins, and make the playoffs. That's least favored than them not making the playoffs. So how are y'all feeling with the Vikings headed into this year? JJ McCarthy taking the reins at quarterback, and we'll start with you, Cam.
I mean, okay, so with JJ, it's hard being bad in that offense. I feel like O'Connell is. I feel like it's damn near QB proof. But I mean, he's technically still a rookie. Obviously, he didn't play last year. Missed the whole season because of a injury or whatever.
Torn meniscus, I think it was.
Yeah, torn meniscus. So, bro, honestly, he didn't really get a chance to like sit and like really learn because he was rehabbing the whole time. So, like, I mean, he was sitting, but like, was he like really like learning as much as he really could? Because he also had to deal with like rehabbing. So honestly, call me crazy, but I really think they should start off by starting Sam Howell. That's just me personally. That's just me personally. Because think about it, man. He obviously, he's a veteran. He's not bad. I mean, you seen what Sam Darnold did with this offense. I believe Sam Howell could do like damn near the same shit as Sam Darnold. I feel like the arm talent is there. Is the decision making there? I don't know, but I feel like Jay Jettis wants to win now. I feel like it's gonna be kind of hard to win now with JJ McCarthy at QB. I feel like their best chance, honestly, is with Sam Howell. So that'd be
of all takes I've heard leading up to this. That is I haven't heard anybody say that.
I've never heard anyone.
Crazy, man.
They got a playbook. What pick was he like? Wasn't he the 5th pick? I think a couple years.
He was up.
I think they got him at the 5th pick.
Yeah, they'd be crazy.
He's got to play.
Him,
and I get you where you're saying like he didn't get like on field learning, but he did get to sit and watch all year and be in the QB room, see how O'Connell, game plans, all that stuff. I'm not saying he's gonna just hit the ground running. I think he will go through like his bumps and bruises of just being an NFL quarterback, but you got to throw him out there. Like you can't.
All right, look, if he starts off ass, just don't be surprised if Sam Howell comes in and he just
even if he starts off ass, they gotta keep playing him. I don't think this team is supposed to be good this year, so I don't think it's gonna hurt.
Okay,
right,
so
man, because they coming off a 14-3 season.
It was a fluke, bro. It was a fluke.
I don't think so. Their DC is back. That defense was good last year. The defense should be good this year.
How long Sam Darnold been in the league?
Is it Mike?
I think it is. Yeah, it's Flores.
Yeah, great DC. Yeah, no, they're gonna be talented. But what you just said, Chris, where you're like, they're not gonna be good. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm about to like combine you and one of Cam's comments. So if they're not good, how much leeway do the Vikings have until Justin Jefferson wants out?
Okay,
because that was what I was thinking coming into last year before Sam Darnold did what he did.
Yeah, and I literally just Googled his contract because Cam said he want to win now. I don't think Justin Jefferson cares to win right now. We've talked about this already. We've talked about how there's some people that want to win, and there's some people that just want to make some money and be great at what they do. And I think that's where he's at. Like, the only thing that we've gotten out of training camp out of Sam Darnold is the Justin Jefferson comment with he's young. Like he pretty much saying he sucked. That's what he pretty much saying the dude not good. So I don't think Justin Jefferson is concerned about not Sam Darnold, JJ McCarthy having a wonderful season. Like as long as he get the ball, he get his touches, and he makes stuff work. You live in Minnesota, bro. Like you chose to stay there. Like you chose to get another contract. You chose to get over $100 million in guaranteed money in Minnesota. You know what you signing up for, and you knew that. You probably knew Kirk Cousins wasn't staying. You knew Sam Darnold wasn't staying, and you know JJ finna start. Like he hasn't, out of all the receivers in the league, he the one that he don't complain at all. Like he really just go out there and he play ball. I don't think Justin Jefferson goes anywhere, bro. I think he lets I think he lets JJ have his struggle season. And maybe it won't be a struggle season. Maybe they win like 10 games. Maybe they win 9 games. But I don't think, if you're a real Minnesota fan, I don't think you going into the season expecting 14-3, expecting competitive playoff football. Like I think you had a really good time watching football last year because you didn't expect that to happen. And this year you're ready to see what the future can be, like what the next couple years can be. And that's about it.
That's fair. I think that's more reason. I'm not disagreeing with what you said, but I think that's more reason why Justin Jefferson might potentially look to get out of there in a year or two, because he did get that money. That's life-changing money. You can't turn that down. So I'm not mad at him for taking it. But I think there's also, I'm not saying it would, but potentially I think there's a little bit of chance there for his ego to get a little bit hurt, because he's got to watch his old running mates, Burrow and Chase, go off. Chase just got the triple crown. And now everybody's saying, oh, Chase is the best wide receiver in the league. Where before that, it was Justin Jefferson had that crown. And Justin Jefferson's sitting over here like, man, if I just got an elite QB like these other top guys, maybe like I would have not only personal success, but team success as well. And then I wouldn't get knocked down a few pegs because my team isn't as good. And I'm just saying that too, because shoot, this is my Justin Jefferson to the Chiefs 2027 campaign, bro.
Oh my God. I don't know about maybe 2027. That's the only thing about it too, is like I don't think anybody's gonna pick up that contract. So he's gonna have to wait.
Oh, but by then, that's what I'm saying. That contract.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's gonna have to wait at least till 2026 if somebody really got like a young, like they don't got a big payroll. Then yeah, that's when it have to happen.
That's what I'm saying. 27. So not this year, not next year, the year after. Yeah.
And his contract is up in 28. So that'd be perfect. I think that's more realistic. That's what I'm saying. I think he sees what happens with JJ these next couple years. I would imagine he's a star in Minnesota, bro. Like, I mean, shit, he been the best player on the team since he's been there. Yeah. So,
but hey, history repeats itself. We seen Kevin Garnett and Randy Moss be the stars of Minnesota, and those teams failed to put pieces around them.
You see who
and they both left. And he 2 years in the Western Conference Finals in a row, no progress. Another couple of years with them.
They gave him Rudy. Right.
Yeah. And they giving Justin Jefferson, Sam Darnold, and JJ McCarthy right now. So we're gonna see. But hey, I'm not mad at it necessarily. But yeah, I think Cam, that was one of the more crazier takes I've heard. I think they do gotta play it,
bro. Don't be. I'm not saying they don't have to play him. I'm just saying like they'll be better. Like they'll be a better team. They'll be better like winning like right now if they started Sam Howell over JJ McCarthy. I don't think JJ McCarthy is like ready right now.
Does Sam Howell get them to a NFC Championship game?
No.
Oh, so then why play him?
It gets them to the playoffs. It gets them being competitive in the playoffs. Like it could. I'm saying no, but to like Kevin O'Connell, it could get them like to like. I think they have a better. I think they have a better chance to make it to the NFC Championship with Sam Howell than JJ McCarthy.
Okay, I'm gonna have to feed you to the Vikings Twitter wolves with this.
Like, you know
take
me,
that.
I'm a big proponent in tanking, bro. And you ain't got to tank outright, but like it's okay to just invest your money in things that may not win right now. Like you'll win later.
I think just for their future,
Yeah, exactly.
you have to play JJ McCarthy every game unless he's injured because
Every game is crazy.
you got to.
He
What
got to
if you
get the reps.
Hold on.
That you took him as that's supposed to be their franchise quarterback. You
This
got to
is
see
just a
it.
Drake May all over again.
Hold
Yeah,
on. The Panthers did the same thing with Bryce Young.
And
All I'm saying,
look at what happened to them. It
I know,
killed his confidence.
no. Okay, but I'm saying is they sat him. He got to learn. Another guy came up. You know, they was a little bit more competitive. This could be the same thing. If he comes out and have like 4 or 5 shit games, I can definitely see the Kevin O'Connell saying, "Okay, let's try something different."
Okay, but they would
it's
have
not.
to be like absolute.
It had to be
dog
like
shit.
That's
split.
what I'm saying.
What if
Like it's like really bad.
split?
Well, I
What
don't
if it's
think
like
JJ's
split?
gonna come out and do that. Like you said, I
I
think
mean,
O'Connell's system is kind of QB proof. I'm not saying it's gonna make him the best, but I think he'll be very serviceable. I just don't know how many games they'll win.
The reports I've been seeing, it's not looking like great.
I want to see the reports because for you to think DJ Howard is the better option.
I mean, I'm gonna say because, like I said, I've been seeing some reports. I've been seeing same thing like with I think Chris said the Justin Jefferson one. The one he was saying that he kind of don't think he's like JJ McCarthy is like ready right now. That's in my mind. That's kind of like saying, well, I've been seeing like comments, whatever, people saying, oh, like look at Sam Howell has been doing pretty good in training camp, and he's like a more ready right now type of quarterback than JJ McCarthy. I'm just saying, bro, don't be surprised if it's not crazy to say because we've seen it. We see it every year in the NFL, so it's not crazy to see like a quarterback swap like mid-season. Like that's not crazy to say. We've seen that before. Like that's not like insane to say. And like I said, I think this team has playoff aspirations. If they have playoff aspirations, if they're like 1-3 or 0-4 or like shit, maybe even like 2-2, and he's really bad those 4 games, I can definitely see a QB swap. They're like that's not crazy to say. I don't think that's crazy to say, me personally.
Okay, that's not crazy to say. What I do think was crazy to say is saying they have a better chance of being successful with Sam Howell over JJ.
I think, bro, Sam Howell's not a bad quarterback. He just makes bad decisions. Same thing with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold made bad decisions.
Yeah,
but in his offense, it's hard making bad decisions in his offense.
That's fair.
I mean, I agree. I mean, if they lose to the Bears, lose to the Falcons, lose to the Bengals, lose to the Steelers, and lose to the Browns, and are sitting at 0-5 on week 6, then I think we could see them make a switch.
Yeah,
it's possible. Yeah.
Also, I apologize. Xfinity sucks. My internet connection sucks, so I apologize for dropping out. When I look at this team, the big thing for me is regression. This O'Connell has made Sam Darnold, Josh Dobbins, Kirk Cousins all look competent. But when we look at their 1-score games, 2022 11-0, next season 5-8 in 1-score games. 2024 9-1 in 1-score games. That's 25-9 in 1-score games over the past 3 years. That doesn't happen by accident, but it's also not sustainable. Also, history has shown us that teams that overperform their Pythagorean win total by 1 or more only hit their win total 32% of the time last year. So with that being said, no, by two games or more. Teams that overperform their Pythagorean win total by 2 games or more only hit their win total 32% of the time. Their Pythagorean win total last season was 10.56. So they vastly overperformed per that. So regression is staring them in the face. Obviously, the big question is JJ McCarthy ready? I'm not the biggest JJ McCarthy believer, but out of all the young quarterbacks, he's kind of in the best situation to be good. He's not going to be asked to do too much. Just throw the ball to Justin Jefferson. You have a top 10 offensive line. You have Hawkinson underneath as a security blanket. Can he make plays? Because at Michigan, he wasn't asked to carry the offense. He was just a smart game manager. In the NFL, that can only get you so far. He's replacing Sam Darnold, who surprisingly had one of the league's most aggressive deep ball passers last season, third in 20+ yard TDs. The expectation here is they're going to shift back to a lot more Kirk Cousins, short style play action pass, more quick throws, heavier tight end usage. Josh McDaniel, who's one of the best QB coaches, is here to get McCarthy ready. I don't think he is going to be able to do it. Offensive line, 18th in pass blocking, 16th in run blocking, 29th in sacks are allowed. But they brought in Kelly from the Colts, Friars from the Colts. It is going to be a better offensive line. They also brought in Jordan Madison. How is that going to look? Is it going to be a timeshare? Are we going to see Madison slowly take over and be the early down back with Jones being the pass catching back? Because last year, the offense struggled when Jones was hurt. Maybe they just brought in Mason because they realized that they need a running back. But I don't know how long that is going to work out or how that snap share is going to be distributed. I think we're going to see Addison get some regression. Obviously, Justin Jefferson is a guy. He's going to be at massive shares of targets. But who's the two? Is it Addison? Is it Hawkinson? Hawkinson, when we look at what he did last year, he had a great season. If he would have played a full season, he would have been one of the best tight ends in the game. Now, defensively, Brian Flores, the X factor, the defense he runs is chaotic, deceptive, heavy blitz, hard to diagnose at the line. They crowd the line of scrimmage and they rotate the matchup zone coverage. It looks like, man, they drop everyone back. They fake zero blitz, drop 8 guys. They like to bring pressure. Hargrave and Allen on the line, Dallas Turner, Greenland, Van Grickel. That's a good pass rush group. My worry with them is the secondary guy, Isaiah Rodgers and Jeff Oduka. Those guys are god-awful. They're going to struggle to defend. Flores likes to play man. Those guys are poor in man. Safeties, Malisher and Smith are smart, but they also grade out poor in man. I just don't think this team is going to be able to defend in the secondary. Bottom line, I bet the under 8.5 at +135. O'Connell is a great coach. McCarthy's in the solid setup, but Vikings are due for regression, have the 28th hardest schedule, coming off a huge performance in one-score games, due for some regression, and the secondary is a liability.
I'm mad at that one. Yeah, definitely intriguing spot here. I might be a little inclined to take the under 2 as well, just because, like I said, not necessarily know what we're getting with JJ McCarthy, and this team definitely did overachieve last year with Sam Darnold at the helm. So, yeah. But last but not least, your team, Eric, who is still the favorite in the NFC North, but obviously a lot of turnover, a lot of change this offseason. You lose your offensive and defensive coordinators in Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. So whole new systems on both sides of the ball. You're coming off a year where you went 15-2. Obviously, that was an amazing feat given the injury bug your defense was hit by all year. So hopefully see a little positive regression there with your defense staying healthy. Do bring back Aiden Hutchinson, who was off to arguably one of the greatest starts at defensive end in league history last year before he went down with the torn ACL. Bolstered your secondary with DJ Reed, Rock Ya-Sin, Avonte Maddox. Drafted some more defensive help with Tyleek Williams, got a guard in Tate Ratledge. But you did lose a couple of your offensive pieces as well. Center Frank Ragnow retired, lose your guard Kevin Zeitler. And like I said, coordinator's gone, DT Levi. Onwuzurike, how you pronounce it? I'm butchering that probably, but
sounding like me, dude.
It sounds good, but
it's crazy.
But y'all are still a heavy favorite in the conference. I think y'all have the 3rd or 4th best odds in the NFC to win the conference. I think like 6th or 7th in Super Bowl odds for the whole league. How are you feeling headed into this year for your Lions, man?
I'm a huge diehard fan, rocking my Lions hat right now. But I have to be honest about what I'm seeing headed into the 2025 season. Lions didn't lose depth. They lost 2 coordinators and 6 positional coaches. That's a big shift. While the front office has done a nice job building a culture, that much change makes it really hard to maintain a stable foundation. When you look at the offense, everyone's talking about Ben Johnson leaving. For the fan base, it's either the offense is a toast or it's no big deal. For me, I look at what John Morton does. John Morton said in an interview he is going to let Jared Goff call plays. We need to remember this is why McVay got rid of Goff in the first place with the Rams, because of his inability to diagnose defenses at the line and make the right call. I think this is going to be a huge red flag because of this. Goff does his best when you tell him what to do. The offensive line, the heart of the team the last 2 seasons, number 1 in adjusted line yards, top 5 in run blocking. And they lost 40% of their line. Zeitler gone. Frank the Tank retired. They really have some questions in the middle of the field, which in the middle of the line, which is tough, especially when you have Goff who struggles facing pressure in his face. Obviously, Dan Campbell, what he wants to do, grind it out, protect leads. I think if we see a running back struggle, it's probably going to be Montgomery coming off an injury, 28 years old. That's when we start to see running backs deteriorate. Morin has said he's going to have Montgomery and Gibbs on the field at the same time. What to do about Sam Laporta? 37 fewer targets last year, 26 fewer receptions. Jamison Williams, who they tried to move in the offseason because of his limited route tree. This guy is just not as good as people think he is. What is Morin going to do with them? Losing Glenn, how does that work the defense? They bring in Kevin Shepard, who I think is a good fit. He's been kind of groomed to take over this role. He developed Branch and Campbell. I think their defense is actually going to be better than their offense. They're going to play more zone, which is huge because the last 3 seasons they've allowed the third, sixth, and second most passing yards. Playing more zone is going to be great. They can't just live in the man coverage. They brought in Reed and Maddox, which helps. They brought in Hutchinson to pair with Hutchinson. You got DJ Reader, Marcus Davenport, rookie Tyreek Williams. That is a legit offensive line. Campbell taking that step forward. For as much as it sounds, Lions are going to be a better defensive team than offensive team. But at the end of the day, 3rd hardest schedule, 7 road games in outdoor stadiums where Goff has struggled. I bet the Detroit Lions not to make the playoffs at plus 160. Just a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, key losses in the offensive line, and Jared Goff calling plays. I hope I'm wrong, but for everything I look at, this is something I have to bet.
Oh, so with that big of a fall off this year, where do you think that puts the franchise once the season is over with? Are you ready to move off?
Because this looks like a situation that we saw with the Eagles. The Eagles, after they made that deep run, they lost in the Super Bowl. They lost both their coordinators. They brought in 2 guys that probably weren't ready to be coordinators, limped into the playoffs, lost an embarrassing game down at Tampa. Then instead of moving off of Hurts, instead of moving off of Sirianni, they got Vic Fangio, they got Kellen Moore. My big prediction is they're going to keep Shepard because I think Shepard is the guy. I think he can be a defensive coordinator. I think he's a future coach in the NFL. I think offensively, I don't think Morin's the answer. My big prediction with them is the Miami Dolphins struggle. McDaniel gets fired. McDaniel is going to be the OC for the Lions next year, and he will get that offense back in track. And next year, the Lions will be some serious contention to win the Super Bowl.
Okay. Not mad at that one. What about you, Kim? How you feeling about Detroit? You feeling more along the lines of what Eric just said, or you think they still have a good chance to be the top dog in the NFC North this season?
They got at least want to switch up.
Eric is really good, dude.
Really great, man. But nah, shit. I'm just thinking, shit. Everybody in that, on that team, in that front office, whatever, got Super Bowl aspirations. So that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking, shit, this is either Super Bowl bust year for them. Obviously, they lost both their coordinators. They got some offensive line guys moved away, but they added that Tate guy from I think from Georgia. I like him. I think he's gonna be solid or whatever. I didn't know about the defense though, like how the defense kind of like revamped in a way, like it's gonna be like you think it's gonna be more better than the offense. I can kind of see that now. If there's any like fantasy guys watching though, I do believe in like I still believe in Gibbs and Amon Ra. I think both of them gonna have tremendous years. Like you said, they're supposed to have Gibbs and Monty on the field together now. So I think Gibbs gonna just probably explode this year in fantasy. So
Oh yeah, he's gonna out wide, especially in a PPR league.
yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
He probably if Morton is like true to his word of splitting him out a lot more, he probably will mess around and be Goff's second favorite target behind St. Brown in that offense. So
this is my worry with Gibbs. Let me bring up these notes. Give me 2 seconds. Bear with me. When we look at what he did when Montgomery played, 74 rushing yards a game, 102 total yards a game, 19 fantasy points a game. When Monty didn't play, 122 rushing yards a game, 163 total yards a play, 32.56 fantasy points a game. To me, like that's my worry about Gibbs was just all Gibbs stuff there because Monty missed that string of games, or is this new Morton offense going to like unleash him more? And you see Monty, who's hitting 28, when you see running backs tend to take their dip, is you know what I mean? Are they going to go to Gibbs more and Gibbs be the workhorse back? That's just my red flag with the Gibbs.
Okay.
I feel you.
What about you, Chris? Your thoughts changed?
I love Monty last year. I had him in my fantasy, bro. I love both of them. Gibbs, he run 80 yards down the field, and Monty just do 1 yard in. I love that. No, I kind of agree with Eric. Not making the playoffs is crazy. I don't know if I went that far, but I did think that losing Ben Johnson and losing their defensive coordinator was a big loss. I think the talent on paper, like they're still a really talented team in regard to like who they like I said, they didn't really lose much personnel. But the person moving the pieces around and running the controller changed. And that makes all the difference. Not making the playoffs is crazy.
Well, here, look, I'll give you a stat that will kind of help you probably even see it more as a possibility. So, what they changed the playoff format to 7 teams from each conference. It's been 5 years now, I think, 4 or 5. But obviously, that's a short period of data to go off of. But in that time, since the NFL is a league of parity, truly, if a division sends 3 teams to the playoffs the following season, they never repeat that. Last year, the NFC North sent 3 teams to the playoffs in the Vikings, Packers, and Lions. History says this year that will not happen again, even given the fact that they have a seventh spot. So at best, it could be 2 teams. At worst, maybe just the division winner. And we just got through saying we're not high on Chicago particularly. We're not thinking JJ McCarthy is going to be able to reproduce what the Vikings had. We could potentially be looking at, if the Packers are the team to win this division, Packers make the playoffs, and all 3 of these other teams are, what do we need to do to get back on track from where we were at? And so maybe Lions do squeak in, but it's going to be very hard because, I think the NFC is kind of reloaded this year a bit. I know last year a lot of people thought the NFC was a much weaker conference, but I think they've done some things conference-wide that kind of re-bolster them. Obviously, you got your Cowboys back healthy. You got the Eagles return Super Bowl champs. Will Washington amount to anything? Not saying New York is a playoff team, but they've got a great defense over there. This division is going to be tough. The West with the Rams, important. Like
you really just ask yourself how many wins do you need to be the 7th seed?
I think you're going to need 10.
You're going to need 10.
There's a slim chance 9 could get you in, but I think it's going to be 10 is going to be the marker. Yeah. And funny enough, that's their win total set at 10.5. So can they get that 11th and squeak in, or are they stuck at 10-7?
I feel like they should get 11 wins. I feel like they should get 11. You don't feel like they should get 11 wins, Eric? That's just
I mean,
so
like,
crazy.
I historically speaking, teams that have a win total like that, it goes under 55% of the time over the last 20 years. And I mean, like for me, and I mean, like for my stuff, I've already given this stuff out. I won't let you guys do it so that way people tune in. I have the NFC North as a one playoff team league division or whatever. Okay. I have them as one, and I have the South as one. So I just have the division winners because I'm high on the West. I'm really high on the West. I have 3 teams making it from the West and then 2 teams from the East.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that wraps up the NFC North preview. I guess to just give it one final bow, I think we're all in agreement. If we had to say 2025-26 NFC North champions are the Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Second place, I still give it to the Lions. Maybe they squeak into the playoffs.
I have the Lions in second.
Yeah, I have the Lions in second. I think Chicago at least jumps to third, and I think the Vikings. I think Chicago finishes more like 8-9. Vikings go like 7-10. And yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. That is.
This was like the most competitive division last season.
Yeah.
Now we're like, who's gonna?
That's how the NFL is sometimes, man. So definitely excited to see, but we appreciate y'all if y'all listen all the way through. Eric, appreciate you you hopping on for the NFC North, giving us some insight into the division and a really good look at your Lions headed into this year. If y'all are watching this, next episode is going to be the AFC North, another what we hear is a loaded division. But yeah, man, you heard it here first. I Need a Sports Podcast. Green Bay Packers are taking it. So better lock that in. It's your boy Bryce, dog Chris, Cam, I got Eric, and we out. Peace. I need it.